Welcome back to Coaching Process Wins, the YouTube channel. And before we get started, I came out here at the beach here near Monterey, California, and you can see it all over the back end of my shoulder. In fact, it won't be real clear. The surfers are out. That point back there is Pebble Beach. Off to this side is Spanish Bay. So, man, it'd be good for some of you coaches to come out sometime and golf, but bring your money. Not for betting to get on the deadgum thing, but I know that a bunch of our guys, a bunch of coaches in the East are getting pounded on a March. It's not good, man, to be pounded with snow in March, but so I just thought, hey, you know, when I see things that warm me up, you know, I just feel better. So you see, I just put in, hadn't talked about this flavor, it's mocha, grinds coffee pouches. So going to have one of those as I get started here, talking about coaching process wins. I want to start off with just a question. Studies show, I don't know if it's the American Medical Association or whatnot, but studies show that a certain type of person generally dies before another. And who do you think this is? Does the pessimist die earlier generally, or the optimist die earlier? Give that some thought. Does a pessimistic person die earlier, or an optimistic person die earlier? Well, the studies show that an optimist actually dies earlier. Why is that? You know, we talk about positive thinking and the power of positive. Well, actually, because pessimists bitch, they complain, they feel a pain. Let's say they feel a pain in their gut. Heck, they go to the doctor. They get it taken care of. The optimist, and I'll fall into this, you know, I'm going to be tough. I'm going to tough it out. Everything's okay. Don't need to see a doctor. I can get through this. They wait till it's too late. And so that's that study. Now, why do I ask, or why even am I thinking about that? A pessimistic person or an optimistic person? You know, we're always inundated with coaching philosophies and be positive, be enthusiastic, and all those things are correct. And being pessimistic doesn't necessarily have to do anything with being negative. And I just want to think about the word, instead of positive, instead of negative, just think about being real. You know, any stories that you and I have probably ever heard about the best coaches that have ever breathed a breath of air at any level, NFL, college, high school football coaches, are usually realist. They are truthful with their team. They tell it like it is. You know, when you hear like of an all-pro football player said, you know, and he's talking about singing the praises of his coach that helped him to get to the Hall of Fame or whatever, he said, you know, hey, Bill was always honest with me. He shot me straight. He said, this is what it took. This is what it takes. Go do your job. So that's what we hear in terms of the most praises about coaches. You know, they shoot it straight. I was blessed to go down to Orlando in late January, early February this year, 2017. And I went to the USA Football Conference, and a pretty neat experience. And one of the keynote speakers was Brian Billick. And just to bring this home and why I'm on this tangent, he was telling the story about his Super Bowl team. You know, 1999, 2000, 2001, the Baltimore Ravens, when Brian Billick was the head football coach there, was They had the best defense. You know, Ray Lewis and those guys. They had the best defense this side in terms of all history of football. This side of the '85 Chicago Bears, they were dominant. You know, there was a 3-game stretch in the regular season, the year they won the Super Bowl, where they didn't score a touchdown, and they still won because they played such great defense. Well, they're getting ready to play an opponent in the first round of the playoffs, and this is the story that Billick tells. And I'm probably butchering it a little bit, but you'll get my point. They kick off, the Ravens kick off. The opponent takes the ball about the negative 20-yard line, and they start first and 10, negative 20, got to go 80 yards, and boom, hit a 12-yard play. The defensive coordinator comes over the airways and goes, hey, everything's okay. We're going to get them. Next play, bam, 15-yard gain. Defense coordinator comes on and goes, hey, everything's okay. You know, I'm going to have a call for that. We're going to be all right. Third play, boom, another first down. You know, they're past midfield. They're in positive territory right now. Another play, bam, they're in field goal range. Coordinator comes over the airways, hey, man, we're going to be all right. I got something for this. Everything's okay. We got them. Let's just go. Boom, next play, touchdown. Here is probably the top 2 or 3 defenses in all time of football. Opening series, opening drive, their opponent shoves it down their throat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, touchdown. As the defense trots off the field after the extra point, Ray Lewis runs by Billick, says, Coach, don't worry, don't say a word, I got this. It gave Billick time to get all the coaches together, like on an all-call on their headsets, whatever system they're using their headsets. And probably not in as flowery language as I'm using, Billick relays the following. Fellas, when everything's not all right, it's not all right. You know, when the house is on fire, if you're not yelling, screaming, kicking to people get out, you know, there's a problem. There is a problem. Now, when you identify that problem, you fix it. So I go back to my very first thing, optimist, pessimist, realist. Be real with the situation, be real with the players. If it's not all right, if they're not cutting the mustard, if the assistant coach isn't cutting the mustard, hey, I'd rather know. And that's okay. You know, this podcast, this webcast, whatever you want to call it, isn't the slickest thing. It's not very professional. And we'll get better doing it, and I'll get better delivering a message. I just want to help coaches. So leaving comments are always good. Hey, you could have done a better job, man. Well, you're right. I need to hear that, and that's okay. So be a realist. Everything's not always all right. You can be enthusiastic. There's time to be positive. There's time to be negative. But there's always a time to be real. Hope you're enjoying Coaching Process Wins. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Always head over to coachingprocesswins.com. And hey, man, I wish I could go out there and hit the golf, hit the ball around. I think I'll sit here and watch this beautiful surf and be positive about that. Over and out, adios from Coaching Process Wins.